We're going to be talking about box plots. You may have heard it as box and whiskers. They can be called either. So we're going to talk about what it looks like, how to read it, and then how to make one. They're used to kind of show the spread of the data and not necessarily all the specifics, but certain parts. So we'll talk about those parts right now. Make sure you are pulling up the Google Slides with this video and filling it in as you go. You do need to insert your work for a few of them and type in your answers, and then you'll finish the practice at the end. So here's what a box plot looks like. Usually there's going to be a number line at the bottom, but this is a good picture because it shows and talks about the parts. So the first one is the minimum. That's the smallest number in the data set. And then on the complete other end, is the maximum. So you've got the range actually in this data because you got the smallest and the highest. And then we have the median, which is the middle number. And then we have the lower quartile and upper quartile. So one thing I like to think about with these is at the median, that's your 50%, okay? So that's your halfway in between your data, okay? So that if that's 50%, the lower quartile is going to be 25%, upper quartile would be 75%, and then your maximum would be 100%. So think about 25% of your data is between your minimum and your quartile 1. Another 25% is between quartile 1 and quartile 2, and then another 25% and so forth. One other thing is this box is 50% of your data in the middle, okay? So you may have a number of a minimum and it's kind of an outlier, a number way out there by itself, but 50% of your data is right there around the median. Another thing you'll need to know is that box is called you can find the inner quartile range or the IQR. So when we think about that, think about your upper quartile minus your lower quartile, and that'll give you your interquartile range. Okay, so we'll find that in a few questions in a minute. So let's look at this graph, this number line and box plot. So the number of eggs laid. So let's say what number represents each part in the box plot. So the median, remember that's going to be your middle number. So you just bring it straight down, is going to be 6, median. The lower quartile is going to be right here. So we have 2 and we have 4, so halfway between is going to be 3. Upper quartile is going to be 8. The minimum is going to be 2, and the maximum would be 10. I'm going to go ahead and add in here for interquartile range is going to be 8 minus 3, which is 5. So that's the range of the middle part of your data. You could find the range of all the data, which would be 8, but the interquartile range is 5. Make sure you're filling these answers in on slide 3 on the Google Slides that were attached to the assignment. One other thing you're going to need to know is how to analyze them and compare them. So we've got 3 films, A, B, and C. The title says the age of the film viewer in years. So we're going to compare them. So which film had the highest median range? Well, remember the medians are right here. So which one had the highest median was film A. Which one had the smallest range? So remember, range is your highest minus your lowest. So which one is has the minimum and the maximum closest together? Would be film C, because this is the closest together, the smallest range. The next one had the lower extreme of about 18. So look, we can do lower extreme. Sometimes they'll call it lower extreme or minimum or maximum or upper extreme. So either one. So this one has lower extreme of about 18 is also going to be film C. So let's talk about the last one. It says, write a sentence about this statement. Film A has the most viewers. Well, let's look at it. It does have the highest median. It does have the highest range, but how do we know how many numbers are in between? Because really, 25% is between each section. right? So they might be the oldest viewers, but it may not necessarily be the most. So write that in a sentence. I would probably say film A, or we don't necessarily know if film A has the most viewers based on this box plot because we don't know how many numbers are in between each section, and we don't know how many numbers there are total for each different film. Because film C could have the same number of people, it just was a smaller age range of people that were watching that film, and film A was more spread out. So we don't know necessarily that it had the most, but it did have the biggest range of ages for viewers. So make sure you put that into a complete sentence and add that for the last one. So look at this next one. I started a little bit with creating the box plot. I did the number line part. So the first thing you need to do is put your numbers in order. Because think about, we did median already, so we have to find the median. So you have to put your numbers in order, okay? So here we go. 4, and I always cross them off when I've used them, so I make sure that I have all my numbers. 7, 8, 9, 10, 10, 12, 12, 14, 14, 15, 16. And then I always double check and make sure I have them all. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 at the top. So let's check the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 at the bottom as well. So remember, the 5 things we need to find are the minimum, the lower quartile, the median, the upper quartile, and the maximum. Okay, so let's start with our minimum and maximum. That's easy peasy. So our minimum is 4 and our maximum is 16. So the next thing we're going to do is find the median. So we cross them out. So we have 2 numbers in the middle, 10 and 12. So what you can do is you can find the mean of those 2 numbers. So add 10 plus 12 divided by 2. Or you can, if you already know that halfway between 10 and 12 is 11, you're good to go. So we're going to put 11 as our median. I always draw a line for the median because I always want to remember that it's in between there. If you're doing it and you only have 1 number in the middle, you're going to circle that 1 number and that's your median, and you don't have to do anything else with that number. Okay, so here's the next part. We have to find our quartiles. So remember, think about our quartiles. So our median was 50% of our data. We need to now find 25% or halfway on either side. So I always do my X's now, my lines the other direction to make it an X, and then you find the median on the other side. Because there were 2 numbers in the middle, you have to include both numbers. So watch how I do this. I cross out the 4, I cross out the 10. The 10 does get included. If you only have 1 number in the middle, it does not get included. So I cross here, I cross here. I have 8 and 9. If you only have 1 number on that side, that would be it. Don't worry about it. So what's halfway between 8 and 9? Or add them together and divide by 2. We get 8.5. We're going to do the other direction now, including the 12, or the other quartile. So 14 and 14, so it is just going to be 14. Make sure when you do this, you make it neat and organized. You are about to have to insert a picture of the box plot in this work and insert a box plot later. You may even on your test have to insert a picture of this. So please, please, please make it neat, make it organized in your box plot. So basically now to actually draw it, I already did my number line. I always go a little below or a little above. You could have gone up by 2s, but because we had an 8.5, I wanted to be more specific. So I went from 3 to 17. So I went 1 below my minimum and 1 below my maximum, or my lower extreme and upper extreme. So but basically you just put 5 dots at each number. So 4, 8.5 is going to be halfway between 8 and 9, 11, 14, and 16. So your median gets a line. Basically you make your inner quartile range. and then you have your lines going out to your minimum and maximum, or your upper and lower extremes. And that is how you make a box plot. So again, you always need 5 things: minimum, lower quartile, median, upper quartile, and maximum. And you put the box from your lower quartile to your upper quartile. You could find your interquartile range with that box. Remember, 25% of your data is between 4 and 8.5, and you can see that down here. Then another 25% is here, another 25%, and another 25%. You can see 3 in each section. For this one, and our median was 11. You are now going to answer and fill in slides 6 through 9. On slide 9, you do have to do the same kind of thing like you did on this, where you have to actually put all the numbers in order and make the box plot, actually draw the number line and make it. Make sure this box plot gets filled in on slide 5, and check the key for slides 6 through 9 when you're done. And I hope you enjoyed learning about box plots.